What's up, dinguses? I've recently come to the conclusion that the worst saying of all of them is "it takes one to know one." To begin, I think that any time your saying is used mostly by second graders fighting nerd and poopy face allegations, it's lost just a little bit of its hitting power. But second, it doesn't really invite constructive criticism. I would hope that you don't have to be a pedophile to tell someone else, don't be a pedophile. Now, I preface the video with this tangent so that when I call James Bond a creep, pervert, and misogynist, I don't see you guys whipping out the Uno reverse cards, okay? There are 27 007 movies, 24 mainline films, and 3 that are considered unofficial. The oldest installation dates back to almost 64 years ago, and since then, 8 different actors have played the role of James Bond throughout the years, including legends like Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig. Over $7 billion grossed throughout the franchise's lifespan, making it the 5th highest grossing movie franchise of all time, competing with behemoths like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Harry Potter. And somehow, the lowest rated 007 movie isn't Octopussy. It's A View to a Kill. A View to a Kill was the last 007 movie to star Roger Moore, making 57 the apparent age cutoff. And I think that's a good thing, because I can only be so excited about an elderly guy jogging around and sleeping with women 29 years younger than him. Now, to the credit of Roger Moore, he actually quit the role of James Bond on his own terms, saying that it felt weird being with women who could be his granddaughters. So kudos to him, I guess. This sentiment about his age actually seems pretty mutual in the James Bond community. I think this comment really sums it up. Roger Moore was 57 when he played the role of James Bond in this film. Not good. Even the name of this movie is just not right. What is A View to a Kill? In execution, you might think. But no, the movie drew its name from an old James Bond short story written by Ian Fleming called From a View to a Kill, which in turn got its name from an old British hunting song. For no particular reason, they dropped the from, and in doing so also dropped all the meaning from the saying. But aside from the creepiness and the poor naming of the movie, it also suffers from one of the wildest plot structures I've ever watched, where the characters just go from point A to point B like a lost child wandering through Costco. So if that ever sounds like I'm babying you through the film, it's because I don't think that there's any other way to understand it. Let's just get right into it. We start with James Bond grabbing something off this dude's corpse before trying and failing to hide from the KGB. That's the Russian Secret Service, not the Korean barbecue joint in New York. A chase ensues in which a 57-year-old James Bond falls 35 feet with no reaction, dodges bullets, does this, rolls out of the fall like Link, skis on one ski, and uses a hook to pull this dude off a snowmobile. And we're only halfway through the opening sequence. And the best part hasn't even happened yet, because Bond grabs an exploded bit from the snowmobile, creates momentum out of nowhere, presumably by expelling a mass of just pure radical energy, and snowboards the rest of the way down the mountain to California Girls. The Beach Boys one, not the Katy Perry one. Admittedly, this is an awesome opening, but do you see that direction that James Bond is going? Downhill? Yeah, so is the movie. After Bond's daring escape, we get our first taste of older man creeping on younger woman.
Be a good girl, would you?
And I'm just gonna put the ages up there for you guys.
Oh, Commander Bond.
Me, James. It's 5 days to Alaska.
Well, are they gonna have sex for 5 days?
The trip back from Siberia took a lot out of me.
They had sex for 5 days. Okay, I lied to you guys. I know I said that the movie was going downhill, but I forgot the objectively best part of this film, the music. A View to a Kill by Duran Duran is without a doubt the best James Bond theme ever. With a view to a kill. And the only one to chart at #1 in the Billboard Hot 100. I really don't want a copyright strike, but I really want you guys to listen to this song. So just click off this video, look up A View to a Kill by Duran Duran, and just listen. You don't even need to come back to this video. It's not worth it. Just listen to that on repeat. Putting the music aside though, this is not a good opening visually, and I'm not even referring to the copious amounts of naked women dancing in the darkness. I find it so funny that they use so much skiing imagery, which leads us, the audience, to believe that there will be plenty more awesome skiing and snowboarding chase scenes and action sequences. There aren't. In fact, this is the last time you will see a pair of skis in this movie, so enjoy it while it lasts. Bond meets up with his ragtag crew back in Britain to debrief from the mission.
The essential part of all modern computers.
No lecture, Q. We're all aware of the usefulness of the microchip.
Yeah, shut up, Q. Everyone knows what a microchip does. Q explains that the microchip they found on that dude's corpse is a copy of the microchips that the British are developing.
They're identical.
Meaning that the Brits have a rat in their production company. That company being Zorin Industries. Which, hilarious detail, they had to put a disclaimer at the beginning of the movie because the producers didn't realize that there was a real Zorin corporation before they named the villain of the movie Zorin. The real Zorin corporation had to take legal action to get this disclaimer in the movie. Anyway, they're suspicious of Zorin, so it's time to investigate. And I just want to do an exercise with you guys real quick. Close your eyes and imagine the coolest activities for a high-octane spy flick. If you said shootouts and espionage, you're wrong. It's horse racing and geology.
Come on, Luke, get a wiggle on!
I know that the whole British people say things weird bit is overdone, but really? Get a wiggle on?
Get a wiggle on!
Zorin's character is played by Christopher Walken, and he owns horses. Horses that do suspiciously well in the races.
I've never seen a horse run such a fast last furlong.
So suspiciously that they've already sent someone to investigate. We also get introduced to Grace Jones's character, whose name is May Day. And I swear, if she doesn't die in some aviation-related incident, I am gonna be so mad. So James Bond goes to the Eiffel Tower to meet up with this dude Aubergine, who is the detective who's been investigating if Zorin is cheating in the horse races. He reveals that Zorin's horses have passed the steroid test, so he couldn't be cheating, and that Zorin's having a big horse sale later. Two cool things happen here. One, the movie makes fun of French people.
Perhaps we should add this butterfly to our collection? No?
And two, we get the dumbest kill in a 007 movie to date.
You intend to find it?
But it's okay because Bond makes up for it with his classic one-liners.
There's a fly in his suit.
Alright, well that seemed unnecessary. Bond chases the assailant up the Eiffel Tower before she jumps off and parachutes away. But I'm confused and a little worried here because we see there's no parachute here, and we see there's no parachute here. So how is there a parachute here? Like, I'm half convinced they tossed an extra off with no parachute, and we're like... Crap, we're gonna have to reshoot that. This scene also demonstrates Moore's age being a detriment to the film. It's not that obtrusive, but there's something about watching a guy jog up the stairs with the urgency of someone who only kind of needs to use the bathroom that's not appealing to me. I mean, come on, get a wiggle on. Bond chases the parachute in a scene that makes him feel more like a villain than anything else. I mean, the sheer amount of destruction and danger that he caused, but also his uncanny ability to turn into another human being. The chase ends with a reveal that Mayday was the assailant and she escapes with Zorin.
6 million francs in damages and penalties for violating most of the Napoleonic Code.
Well, under the circumstances, sir, I thought it more important to identify the assassin.
But you didn't. You just put your ass in a cake. They decide that Bond is going to go undercover as a potential buyer in Zorin's horse sale to figure out how his horses are winning races despite having inferior genetics. You might be wondering, Maddox, what's this have to do with microchips? It doesn't. But that's the genius of this movie. Loosely stringing together a bunch of random plot lines to confuse the viewer so they don't notice that James Bond is a pervert. They go to Zorin's estate, and there's this moment where I think this dude forgot his line for just a bit too long, but they just didn't re-record it.
We have a room for you at the chateau.
Oh, splendid.
By the way, the preview's already in progress at the main stables.
Is that it?
Is that it? And points to the one place that doesn't have horses. They get checked into the estate, find a bug in their room, and creep on the next most important character, Stacey Sutton, who is played by Tanya Roberts.
Another wealthy owner?
Who knows? But she'd certainly bear closer inspection.
Oh, come on. Later at the reception, Bond sees Sutton and Zorin go into a room together, so he uses some classic gadgets to spy on them in the most conspicuous way possible. But we do find out that Zorin wrote a $5 million check to Sutton. This is important for later because it is the only slight bit of reasoning for James Bond's creepiest moment later in the movie. Bond mingles with some of the other guests related to Zorin, including this guy, Connolly, who handles Zorin's oil operations.
Are you a trainer?
Horses? Hell, I can't even ride.
Dude, she was not happy about that. Also, he talks to this guy, Dr. Mortner. 100% evil. That's not a spoiler. It's just obvious. No one looks like that and has doctor in their name without also having a smidge of nefariousness. We finally get an interaction between Bond and Zorin, which amounts to nothing. But can I just say, Christopher Walken had it back then. That dude was hot. Now, Bond and this other guy snoop around the stables and find a secret laboratory where they learn that Zorin has been implanting adrenaline capsules into his horses and activating them mid-race, and that's how he's been winning. So yeah, he's cheating, kind of a slimy guy. It's a good thing that James Bond is here to remove this international threat. After this, there's a jaywalker in Barcelona they need to neutralize. And this is all topped off by the nastiest makeout scene I've ever watched. I'm not even kidding. SA trigger warning on this one. But the confuzzlery does not end there. Mayday has the realization that the guy she saw in the Eiffel Tower was Bond.
He was the man at the Eiffel Tower.
So he's caught, right? It's over. It's time for him to make a daring escape, right? She has sex with him. I cannot, for the life of me, understand how we got here. Bond literally shot at her. She could ask him, "Is that a gun in your pants, sir? Are you just happy to see me?" And both answers would be true. Why is this happening? The next morning, Zorin meets with Bond.
You slept well? A little restless, but I got off eventually.
Get it? Because he had sex. I guess that wasn't the first time Bond had fired off on Mayday. Zorin uses a secret camera to confirm that Bond is a spy and extremely dangerous, which he finds quite humorous. Again, I'm gonna over-explain this next bit, and it's not because I think you guys are dumb. I am just trying to make sense of what the heck is going on. Zorin knows without a doubt that Bond is a spy. Now it's just a matter of getting rid of him. So, as anyone would do in this situation, he challenges Bond to a horse race, where on horseback, a bunch of goons beat the crap out of him, let him escape, and then, and only then, pull a gun out on him. They don't even shoot him. They knock him out and try to drown him, but he survives by breathing in the tire air, which, there's a Mythbusters episode about this, proving that it doesn't work. Guys, I'm starting to think that James Bond isn't very realistic. In the next scene, we learn that Zorin used to be part of the KGB, but he doesn't work with them anymore, and they're not very happy about that.
No one ever leaves the KGB.
Now, this is where the movie completely diverts from the previous plotline. So much so that it feels like a different movie. All that stuff about horse racing and cheating, that's in the past. We don't have to worry about that anymore. It's not like we spent the last 42 minutes of the movie on it, only to never bring it up again. Zorin holds an evil meeting on his evil airship, and soft launches his evil plan to somehow destroy Silicon Valley, the main microchip production location, so he would be getting rid of his main competitor. This is the new plot.
The domination of Silicon Valley.
Also, presumably they're going from France to San Francisco on this airship, which I did the math, and it would take almost a week by blimp. Meanwhile, 007 also just happens to be in San Francisco to meet up with a CIA informant, where he learns more about Dr. Mortner.
His name is actually Hans Glau, a German pioneer in the development of steroids.
Well, that ties in with the horse injections.
Even he's grasping at straws to make this plot make sense. Apparently, Mortner did experiments with steroids on pregnant ladies that resulted in kids who had really high IQs, but were psychopaths.
They were psychotics. Could Zorin be one of the steroid kids?
Yeah, because Zorin is just such a bright guy. Now Bond is doing a side quest for a crab fisherman.
I understand you have a problem.
That Zorin oil pumping station ruined one of the best crab patches in the bay.
Zorin has an oil rig that's scaring off crabs, so Bond goes to investigate. He swims directly into a pumping valve on Zorin's oil rig and almost gets himself killed. Luckily, there's some KGB agents there to take the blame for Bond's Sudoku attempt. They were there to tape Zorin's evil plan and to plant a bomb, I guess. After unjamming the fan, Zorin tosses the KGB guy back into the valve, which would also jam the fan. Yeah, high IQ, right? Bond goes back to shore after that near-death experience and runs into the other KGB agent, Ivanova. And they go to a spa.
Feels even better from where I'm sitting.
I don't even know. I don't know. He steals the tape of Zoran's evil plan, and let's just move on. Actually, no. There's more weirdness with this scene. Apparently, another actress was initially going to play the role of Ivanova, but at 25, she was dubbed too young. So they went and got a 29-year-old instead. Still half of Bond's age, by the way. Now we can move on. We cut, very jarringly I'll add, to Bond undercover as a reporter asking why Zoran is pumping seawater into his pipelines.
Seawater is used to test the integrity of the pipeline.
I didn't know that.
Then, by pure happenstance, he runs into that lady Sutton from like 45 minutes ago, and he follows her, and he breaks into her home. Creep! Weirdo, man. What the hell is he doing there? He doesn't belong there. The only possible reason he's doing this outside of the fact that he's a pervert is because of that check from earlier in the movie. Sutton catches Bond and together they fend off some of Zoran's goons who were sent there to pressure Sutton into dropping a lawsuit because apparently Zoran had illegally taken over Sutton's oil company.
And then what happened?
Zoran. He took over Sutton Oil in a rigged proxy fight.
Again, riveting stuff for a James Bond movie. Slimy business practices. Ugh. To figure out why Zoran is pumping seawater into his oil pipelines, Sutton and Bond and the American agent go to City Hall, although sadly the CIA agent suffers from terminal side character and gets killed on the way there. Somehow, Zoran knew exactly where Sutton and Bond were going to be and catches them at City Hall.
You're out of your depth.
You're out of your depth. I love you, Christopher Walken. And then, once again, Zoran comes up with a convoluted plan to kill Bond.
So she and her accomplice came here to kill you. Then they set fire to the office, but they were trapped in the elevator and perished in the flames. Intuitive improvisation is the secret of genius.
Well, he says improvise, but they brought like 10 gallons of gasoline. That's like going to an improv comedy show and performing a stand-up routine with props, extras, and a musical number. Lo and behold, the plan to kill Bond that gives him just enough time to escape. Gives him just enough time to escape before he gets killed. First responders quickly rush to City Hall, and James Bond carries a fully conscious Sutton down a ladder, almost getting them both killed. When they get to the bottom, the cops rightfully suspect them of arson and try to put them under arrest. Bond, once again, feels like the villain here because he steals a fire truck that they were using to put out the fire and then drives like a maniac through the city. At one point, he gives the wheel to Sutton and then climbs out to the back of the truck for no other reason than to allow for some chase scene shenanigans. They make a jump over the rising bridge and break away, and then drive to the mine where Zoran is doing some shady things. But before I try to explain the next half hour of the movie, I want to point out that I feel like this movie actively makes fun of Americans, which all power to them. But like that entire chase scene had the cops acting like complete idiots. Not to mention this bit.
I got him. Oh jeez, I got him.
And earlier, Bond had patronized Sutton for not knowing what a quiche is.
What is it?
An omelet.
I may be looking into this, but it was also made by a British studio, so you never know. Anyway, let me just break down what's happening in the plot right now, because I can tell that you're confused. And that's okay. You might not be Zoran levels of smart, but you're you, and that's what really matters. Okay, so this abandoned mine lays between two fault lines. Zoran's big plan is to use a bunch of explosives to blow up this mine and the lake above it to flood one of the fault lines, which would then cause a double earthquake.
Double earthquake?
Which I usually just order the Crunchwrap Supreme combo if I want to cause some quakes. Not only that, but apparently the mine sits on the key geological lock.
Key geological lock?
That prevents the two fault lines from moving at the same time. So blowing it up would somehow flood Silicon Valley. And you thought geology was boring, huh? You look really stupid now. So Mayday finds James Bond and Sutton in the mine and chases after them. Meanwhile, Zoran explodes the mine, with them still in it, and betrays all of his men for no reason. Besides, I guess he's a psychopath.
Psychotics.
Zoran's just a little crazy. We can't bring him anywhere. Once Mayday realizes that Zoran left her for dead,
And I thought that creep loved me.
she joins forces with 007 to try and stop Zoran's plan. There's one big bomb that's yet to go off, and they still have a chance to stop it. Through the power of teamwork, elbow grease, and Grace Jones's hair, they get the bomb out of the mine. Then Mayday sacrifices herself to stop Zoran's plan. No, Mayday, you can't go like this. You have to die in a plane accident so we can use your name in a pun. No, seriously though, what was the point in naming her Mayday if she's gonna die in a completely regular way, unrelated to a crash? I don't understand this movie. Anyway, they stopped Zoran's evil plan. Everything should be good, right? How does that happen? It's not like she got snatched by a super fast jet or something. This is a blimp. Or apparently it's called a dirigible, which is a piece of knowledge I can't wait to confuse my future kids with. Bond grabs onto the ropes hanging from the dirigible, and they have a final showdown on the Golden Gate Bridge, which admittedly is an awesome setting for an admittedly unawesome fight. Which ends in the most fitting way possible for this movie. I don't know why Zoran is laughing here, but now I'm laughing too. Dr. Mortner accidentally blows up the dirigible and the day is saved.
There's never a cab when you want one.
And do you remember that weird robot at the beginning of the movie? To the surprise of no one, it is only used for a perverted joke at the end of the film.
Details.
Oh, James.
But I can't be mad as the credits roll because I get to listen to A View to a Kill by Duran Duran one more time. 10 out of 10 movie. Seriously though, this movie is so strange. It's still a 007 movie, so in all honesty, it's not that bad. It's fun.
It's fun.
And as much as I'm criticizing it for being sexist and creepy,
Be a good girl, would you?
so were all movies back then. In fact, Tanya Roberts also starred in Beastmaster, a movie that was infamous for the main character Dar creeping on and coercing Tanya's character Kiri. First cousins, by the way. Honestly, I could do a whole video on Beastmaster if that's something that you guys would be interested in watching. The bottom line is, actually, I have no idea what to say. I feel like this movie fried my brain. I guess the takeaway is, don't bet on horse racing. Oh my gosh. I'll see you later, guys. Thank you for watching. Also, tell Rutabaga he seriously needs an attitude adjustment.